Hey everybody, Big Friendly here. Real quick before we start the video, I think this came together real well. I really like doing it. I think y'all are going to enjoy it. Make sure you stay to the end, and I'll share a photograph with y'all of me and my friends back in 1987 playing a video game, football game together, and I actually have a mullet in the picture, so you don't want to miss that. All right, let's go! Long before Madden became a billion-dollar beast, before sports games were even a franchise, one game laid the groundwork for everything that would follow. It was the game that brought real NFL players to the Nintendo Entertainment System for the first time, creating a legend in the process. So how did a simple 8-bit cartridge with only 4 plays per team become one of the most important sports video games ever made? That's the story we're going to dive into today. To really get the impact of Tecmo Bowl, you have to rewind to what sports gaming on home consoles had been like up to that point in time. From the simple flickering ghost of Atari's original football released in 1978, all the way up to 10-Yard Fight on the NES, football games had steadily improved over the years on the various home consoles, but it was still a world of generic faceless clones. 10-Yard Fight on the NES gave us something that looked like football, but it was a total abstraction. The players were identical little sprites, the teams were just different colors. There was zero connection to the actual NFL. These games were fun for what they were, but they had no real soul. They were football-shaped objects, not a celebration of the sport. There was no player identity, no reason to pick a team unless you just really like the color red. The idea of actually controlling your favorite player, of seeing their skills play out on screen, that was pure fantasy. The market was begging for a revolution, a game that could finally bridge the gap between the action on the field and the heroes fans watched every Sunday. The stage was set. The Tecmo Bowl story doesn't start in the living room, but in the noisy neon glow of the arcades. In 1987, Tecmo dropped the arcade version of Tecmo Bowl, a beast of a machine with 2 full monitors that let 4 players go at it. It was a blast, with fast-paced action and the awesome ability to break tackles, but its teams, the Bulldogs and the Wildcats, were completely made up. It was a hit, but its real destiny was waiting at home. That destiny arrived in February 1989 when Tecmo ported the game to the NES. At first glance, it looks like a huge downgrade. It only supported 2 players, and some of the arcade's graphical muscle was lost in the less powerful 8-bit hardware. But the NES version had an ace up its sleeve, a feature so huge it would completely overshadow its arcade parent and become iconic. That feature, real NFL players. It was this version that became a phenomenon, spawning sequels and cementing itself as the definitive Tecmo Bowl experience. This was the masterstroke. For the first time on a console, you could control the digital versions of your gridiron heroes. Tecmo pulled this off with a licensing deal from the NFL Players Association. What they didn't have was a license from the NFL itself. That belonged to LJN for their own far less memorable game, NFL. This created one of the most iconic quirks in gaming history. Tecmo Bowl had real players on teams identified only by their city. You had Dan Marino slinging it for Miami, Joe Montana leading San Francisco, and Lawrence Taylor being a nightmare for New York. The team colors were right, and the rosters were straight out of the era. But the official team names and logos, nowhere to be seen. This weird partial licensing gave the game a unique identity that felt authentic right where it mattered the most, with the players. Even this had its own drama, which is now the stuff of legend. Big name quarterbacks like Buffalo's Jim Kelly and Philadelphia's Randall Cunningham were missing since they weren't part of the NFL Players Association group deal. In another famous case, running back Eric Dickerson actually sued the Players Association over using his likeness. These details, once just confusing quirks, are now historical footnotes that show just how new and uncharted this territory really was. Having real players was huge, but what made Tecmo Bowl a classic was its perfect blend of simplicity and strategy. This was not a complex simulation. Each team had a playbook of just 4 offensive plays, usually 2 runs and 2 passes. On defense, you weren't calling complex formations. You were just trying to guess which of the 4 plays the offense was about to run. This created a brilliant game of high-stakes rock, paper, scissors. If you guessed right on defense, you could blow up a play for a huge loss or snag a game-changing interception. Every single snap turned into a tense mind game. The on-the-field action was stripped down to 9 players a side, which kept things fast, chaotic, and easy to read. The game also famously cut out rules like fumbles and penalties, which made the pace absolutely relentless. The controls were so simple, anyone could pick it up with one button doing most of the work. But inside that simplicity, there was a real nuance. A fast running back actually felt fast. A quarterback with a high pass rating could zip the ball in there. And the fact that the clock stopped after every single play made each quarter feel like an epic back and forth battle. It was a formula that wasn't trying to be a perfect simulation. It was just trying to be ridiculously fun, and it totally succeeded. And then there was Bo. You can't talk about Tecmo Bowl without talking about the single most dominant video game athlete of all time, Bo Jackson. Bo was a real-life legend, a 2-sport pro star in football and baseball, and Tecmo somehow managed to bottle that lightning. In the game, the Los Angeles Raiders running back wasn't just a player, he was a glitch in the matrix. With speed and power that felt like a cheat code, giving the ball to Bo was basically a guaranteed first down. He'd just shrug off defenders, zigzagging across the field while tiny 8-bit players bounced off him. Entire playground strategies and house rules were invented just to try to contain him. He was so broken that picking the Raiders in a friendly match was basically a declaration of war. The legends of Tecmo Bowl cemented the game's place in pop culture. It was maybe the first time a video game didn't just copy a player's skills, but turned their real-world legend up to an 11 rating in every category. The funny part, Bo Jackson himself has said he never actually played the game.
I have heard that I was good, but I've never played it. I still got the video game still in the original package. It hasn't been opened. I got the game to play it in. The cassette and everything, and I'm saving it for my grandson.
It doesn't even matter. His digital self became an icon, proving that a single god-tier player could be the main attraction, a lesson that would define sports gaming for decades. The massive success of Tecmo Bowl led to its even more beloved sequel, Tecmo Super Bowl in 1991. The sequel went all in, getting the full NFL and NFLPA licenses to bring in every team, 11-on-11 gameplay, bigger playbooks, and season-long stat tracking. It was the perfection of the formula the original pioneered. But the first Tecmo Bowl is the trailblazer. Its influence is everywhere. It proved that playing with real athletes was a gigantic draw, setting the standard for every licensed sports franchise that came after, from Madden to NBA 2K. Its simple arcadey fun is still being copied today by modern retro hits like Retro Bowl, proving how timeless its design is. To this day, Tecmo Bowl and its sequel have a fiercely dedicated cult following. There are online leagues, modded versions with current NFL rosters, and even national tournaments where the best players in the country gather to prove their 8-bit dominance. NFL Films even made a documentary about it. The game isn't just a retro classic, it's a cultural artifact. Tecmo Bowl is more than a game, it's a core memory. It's the sound effect and the thrill of breaking a 90-yard run with an unstoppable force. So I want to hear from you. What are your best Tecmo Bowl memories? Which team did you run the table with? And do you think there was anyone at all, more unstoppable than Bo? Let me know in the comments. Hey, here's that picture. I'm on the black shirt, the Destroyers, me with the mullet, that's me. But all these guys were in our leagues. In this particular picture, we're actually playing M-Network Super Challenge Football on the Atari 2600, and I think that TV was a black and white one. We're playing on top of the ping pong table. I think that picture sums it up. I mean, back in the day, I mean, I can still play Tecmo Bowl or Super Tecmo Bowl now by myself, and they're fun games, even now, you know, all these years later. But back then, it was just something about, man, just sitting down with your buddies, you know, and playing some sports games. It's some of the best memories I have from growing up when it comes to playing video games. It's just that we had a lot of fun. I mean, we actually had somebody sitting over there sometimes with a with a notebook writing down, you know, did you complete the pass? We would keep up with the basic stats. I mean, you know, luckily by the time the you know, Super Tecmo Bowl came along, it did it for you. That saved a lot of time and effort, but there was just something special about, you know, sitting down with your friends and just, you know, I miss it. I really, really do. And when you're that age, it just seems like you have so much time on your hands. And of course, you have to grow up and you have kids and everything, and you move out and spread out. So it's, you know, it's harder to do. But it's a memory that I will always cherish forever. There's no question about it. Like, subscribe, share. See you later. Bye-bye.